Hey everyone, thanks for coming along to watch my tutorial video or my guide video on how to download, set up and install the integrated Rust control panel or IRCP. So it's pretty much just going to be a straightforward video, nothing too fancy about it. We're just going to get stuck right into it. We'll jump on to a browser, download the file system. We'll go through and install it all. I'll show you how to do a preliminary setup on the control panel for your first server, and then we'll get straight into the control panel and do some stuff in there and get the server up and running, the Rust server, so you can start using it. So this whole process takes about 15 minutes, and there's absolutely nothing hard about it at all. Let's get stuck right in. So open up a browser, and in the address bar you want to type in rust control panel.stiffgoat.com. Stiffgoat is just my domain. It doesn't mean anything else. It's just the domain that I own for being able to host websites and whatnot. Alright, so rustcontrolpanel.stiffgoat.com, and we'll go to that one. And once we're here, there's a little bit of a write-up of what it's all about, and then there's some pictures. You're more than welcome to read and look through the pictures if you like. It's totally up to you. But the important part is down the bottom of this section here, where the writing is. Here is the download button for us to be able to download the file system for the control panel. So just hit that button and it'll start the download. When the download's finished, we can back straight out of this browser, because we don't need that open anymore. So that's done. Cool. Go to our file explorer, jump into downloads or wherever your download's saved to, and there it is. I'm just going to drag it straight out to the desktop. You can put it wherever you like to put it, it doesn't matter. It's just simple and easy to put it on the desktop here to show you for the demonstration. So just jump straight into there, and again, take that file system and drag it out to wherever, and that's going to actually start unpacking the file system out of the zip for you so that we can start using the files. Once the zip has finished unpacking, we don't need that anymore. We can just delete it, or you can keep it if you like, but there's really no need for it after this. So I'm just going to delete it, and that's it. There's our file system. So if we open into that, we've got a few different things in here. This is the main control panel file system, and then here we have 4 file systems for running up to 4 separate Rust servers. So we'll get into that shortly. The very first thing we need to do is install Python, and we have to install Python in a bit of a specific way. We need to make sure we install Python for all users. So if you just follow along with what I'm doing here and do exactly what I do, you can't mess it up. It's really easy. Okay, so we'll just run the installer. Alright, and this is it. So very first thing we want to do as soon as we come into this is we want to add Python to the path. This can make it easier in the future if we need to do any manual updates for anything, but that probably will never be necessary. But just check it anyway. Then we need to hit custom installation. Don't use the install now, that won't work properly, so just use custom installation. Make sure all of these here are checked. If any of them aren't, they should be by default automatically. So but anyway, just make sure they're all checked. Hit the next button, and this is the very important one here. We can't mess this up. This install for all users must be checked. So if you look at the file path down here, as soon as I click this, that changes. So this is a file path that all users can access. So if it looks like this here, with your username written here, it's wrong. Make sure this is checked. It has to be checked. Otherwise, Python will not work properly for the control panel. Alright, so just check that. Make sure the path looks similar to this, and then hit install. So we'll let that do the installation, and once the installation's finished, we can get into the actual control panel to start doing some stuff in there, some preliminary setup in the control panel. Then we'll be able to start up and actually get the control panel running and access it through a web browser. So we'll just wait for this to finish first. Cool. Alright, so that's done. We can close out of that. We'll just come back to our file system. Alright, so now we need to do some installations for the Rust file system. So it depends on how many servers you want to run. If you want to run only one, you only need to do the installation once for the first file system. Or you could just do them all and get them out of the way. It's totally up to you. But if we come into, for example, Rust Server 1, and we have a look in here, there's this installation that we need to do for Rust services. There is a Rust service for each file system. If you intend on running up to 4 servers, you have to do the installation for every Rust server. For this video, I'll just do the installation for the first Rust server, and then we'll go over to the control panel and we'll get into some of the preliminary setup. So let's do this installation. It's going to throw an error or a warning screen here. Just hit more info and run anyway. This will install, and then it pops up down here. I don't know why it doesn't just pop up on the front, but anyway, this is it, and we just hit install. Alright, so that's finished. So we can go back, and now we can go into our control panel, and we'll get the control panel started up and do the preliminary configuration, which takes a couple of minutes at the most, and then the control panel server is pretty much up and running and you'll be able to access it. So for this one here, this is the one that you want, so the one that's named #start control panel server. So that's the main one. All we got to do is run that, and everything else is self-explanatory from there on in. So you'll see once we start it. So it checks out your configs, and because you've never ran the server before, it detects that there is no config. So it then goes through to start the configuration script, which just asks you a few different questions, and you just answer the questions. It's really straightforward. And once that's finished, yeah, that's it. It's up and running, and then you can access it. Okay, so the first thing that it's going to ask is for a control panel name. So it's just a name for the control panel. That's all it is. Just a way of being able to identify your group or your clan name or whatever you want to call the control panel. So I'm just going to call it integrated Rust, and you'll see where this comes up soon enough. and then this is where the control panel asks for a nickname for your Rust servers. So this is for server number 1, as you can see here. Now all this is just a nickname for the control panel. This doesn't show up in a server list inside the Rust game or anywhere else. It's just a nickname to help identify your your servers on the control panel if you had multiple servers. Okay. I'm just going to call this OG server, and then it asks for some networking information for that number 1 server. So the reason why you have to put some networking information in is because it's designed to be able to run the Rust servers either on this same machine here, this exact machine that we're running the control panel on, or we can run the Rust servers on a totally different computer on the same network and just put the LAN IP address of that computer in. Getting a little bit more complex, you can also actually run your Rust servers on a computer on a totally different network somewhere else. If your friend's got a computer and he wants to run a Rust server, you can link it into this control panel through the WAN IP address. That's getting a little bit more complex, so we won't worry about that now. All we're going to do is put the loopback IP address of this machine, so that, because we're going to run this Rust server on the same machine or the same computer, so we can just use the loopback IP address, and then that tells the Rust control panel that you're looking for the Rust server on the same machine. And that's how it links together and communicates with the servers. So I'll just put the loopback IP address and hit enter. Then it asks if you want to set up another server. So remember, it can run up to 4 servers. I'm only going to do 1 here, so I'm going to type no. But even if you decide to only set up 1 server right now, later on down the track you decide you want to run another server, you can actually configure and add another server on the control panel, so you don't need to go through this again. But for now I'm just going to type no. Confirm that your details are right, or if there's an error you need to fix it. Anyway, this is right, so I'm going to type yes. And then the next thing, because this is the very first time setting up and running the control panel, you need to create an owner admin account. So this is like the master owner account that has access to everything on the control panel, and this is just so you can get logged into it, and then if you need to make more users or other stuff, you can do that all on the control panel. So this here, I suggest that you use your Rust in-game name, and the reason why is because the control panel is set up to the way it interacts with the Rust server is by using your Rust in-game name. So I advise that you create this account for yourself using your Rust in-game name. For this video, I'm just going to do admin, and then just going to do password. But yeah, for yourself, just use your Rust in-game name, because it uses your Rust name to link in and do a few different things for the whole web page to work properly. That's why you've got to have your Rust in-game name. Okay. Yes. And that's it. It's all finished. It's gonna exit out of this configurator thing, and now it's actually starting up the control panel server. Right, so this is it up and running now. The control panel server is up and running and it's ready to go. So we can use this IP address that shows up here, the LAN IP address. We can just copy that. We can use that to then access and start using the control panel. So I'm just going to switch over to my main computer here. And yeah, just copy that IP address and paste it into the browser. Hit enter, and there it is. So we immediately get presented with this display recommendation message. So it's essentially just telling you, based on your screen resolution, what you should zoom the browser to. So for me, it's saying I've got to zoom to 150%. Depending on your screen resolution, it'll give you a recommendation. I highly advise that you follow it, because what it does is it just makes the scale and the size of all the elements and all the different things on the control panel. It zooms it all to the size that it's intended to, like the way it's intended to look, the way I've programmed it for it to look. So I recommend doing that. You can check this box to not show the message again, and then hit OK. Now this is that name that we put in earlier for your control panel, where you can give the control panel a name. So that's where that appears. And we can put our admin and password in, and we'll be able to access the control panel. And here again, here's the name, Integrated Rust Control Panel. This is the server we set up, OG server, that we gave the nickname for earlier in the config. So this is it. If you had multiple servers set up, they would appear, other buttons for them would appear here. So let's just jump straight in. And this is it. This is the whole control panel. So from this point, we just need to do a tiny bit more configuration for the Rust server to get the Rust server up and running. And it's pretty simple stuff. Head over. So this is your main first page. This is the super admin page. And where you want to go is to server settings. You open up your server settings, and we've got a bunch of different stuff in here. A lot of it probably doesn't mean anything to most people. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's there anyway if people want to do some fine tuning and change the way their server works. But the main one we need to worry about here right now is what your world seed is, and whether you're going to run a custom level URL, which you would type in here, or if you want to run a server seed, which you would type in here. And then you would set up your world size, and then you would set up your players. So I'm just going to change this to 10 because it's just going to be a test server. And then the name of the server, so I'm going to call this IRCP test server. So this is the name that appears in the server listing inside of the Rust game. Then there's the description, so when you actually click on a server and it opens up some more information, this is where you can type that in, any of that additional information, an image, a URL, and then there's your port numbers. So if you want to change these port numbers, which are the ports that you need to open through your router for people to be able to access the server publicly, that's what these port numbers are, 1, 2, and 3. You can change them if you want. They don't need to be changed. There's not really any point to changing them, but you can change them if you want. Up to you. And then there's the RCON password. So and definitely change this. Change the RCON password for your server to something more difficult, so people can't just guess it so easily. And so that's basically it for the preliminary setup. Once you pick what type of world you want and whatnot here, that's it. So you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit the Save Settings button. and that's saved. And as you can see over here, the control panel has logged that action as well. And it logs everything. Everything that you do on this control panel is logged. So for example, if you had multiple users on the control panel, all their actions for everything they do is logged, so you can keep track of what everyone's doing on your server if you have multiple admins with access. Cool, so that's it for that. Now we can actually start the server with the Start Server button. So we hit that, and if we come over to this bar here, we can click on that again and again, and this is a graph. It shows us CPU, memory, networking, and yeah, it's got some information there that tells you what the server's doing. So, I guess we can just wait for a little bit. It is on a bit of a slow computer, so it's just an old virtual machine. It's not anything fast or fancy, but that's pretty much it. There isn't really anything else to it. That's just all you have to do to get your first server up and running. So here you go. Now we can see there's some action. The server's come alive, and in no time at all, there we are. We have some logs starting to come through as well. So that's it. The server is alive. It's never ran before, so the very first time that you start up the Rust server and run it, it's going to take substantially longer than it would if it was just a normal startup or a restart or something like that, because the very first time it has to download the whole Rust server file system to get it up and running, which is what it's doing right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it from start to finish on how you use the IRCP, how you get it downloaded, installed, set up and running, and get your first server running. If you have any other questions, this is my Discord here. You can just add my Discord and I'll get on there, and you can send me a message, and if you're stuck with something or you just have anything you want to talk about, yeah, just add my Discord. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you very much, and I hope everything works out for you.